I think so many people get caught up in comparison, and they never actually look at, like, do I really want that thing? Do I really want that life? You know, because you look at these people, or the example we alluded to earlier of you and what you're like, you know, people maybe message you and say, oh, you're killing it. And they think one thing, and you're like, yeah, I am killing it. And then if they find out the details, they're like, maybe they don't even want that life. You know, maybe it's not for them. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. But it's like, people just get so caught up in comparison that they never actually ask the question of, like, what do I want? You know, why am I comparing? But, like, really, my belief is you just need to deconstruct. If you have a negative relationship with comparison, deconstruct that. And it's really just a check-in point. And it's like, shift the lens that you're looking at comparison through, because when you start looking at it as an opportunity, like, oh, this person is doing that, that is possible.
Welcome to Modern Happiness, where we believe happiness is a choice. Our goal is to share how we and our high-performing guests choose happiness, covering topics such as fitness, mindset, relationships, business, and much more in today's world. Here are your hosts, Matt Michalek and Taylor Sleaford.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Modern Happiness. Today, it is Matt and I, and we have a lovely conversation prepared for you guys. Matt, how you doing?
I'm so good, dude. Best day of the year, first of all. We are in Deuce's new beautiful home with, obviously, Shaw's here. Shaw the dog, podcast dog. We wore him out. He's napping right now. He looks so cute. He's got my jacket on.
Blanket on. It's also June.
It's June 1st as of recording this. And you know what that means? It's summertime. We already said it's the best day of the year, but it's summertime.
So yesterday was not summertime, or?
It's technically not summer till June 21st.
Do we live our lives on technicalities? Do you live your life on
It's all relative. Time is relative.
Okay. I don't want to hear your conspiracy theories.
That's not a conspiracy theory. It's science. Time,
science.
Relativity. We'll get Neil deGrasse Tyson on here one day. He'll tell you all about it in layman's terms.
Is that before or after Oprah? Do we just stop the podcast when Oprah comes on?
When Oprah comes on, yeah, that's it. We can call it. We'll start a new podcast called Modern Horniness, and we will just redirect.
And completely. I will not be a part of that. Deuce maybe.
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
Deuce
out.
is out. So Deuce and I and Shaw are going to go our separate ways.
I mean, by the time we get Oprah on, I'll have a lot more friends. So.
I mean, Matt's changed his life trajectory a lot. So he's about due for a new change of career.
Oh boy, where's this going?
Also, we had a few technical difficulties. We are currently drinking Screwball peanut butter whiskey.
Thanks, Mom. Sheila sent that for Easter, I think.
Hells yeah, Sheila. If you guys would like to sponsor the podcast, feel free to reach out.
Because it's delicious.
Deuce to Deuce.
Dude, well, yeah, I was going to give your email, but you don't have an email.
Modern Happiness
at gmail.com. Yeah. But
send nudes. Speaking of happiness, since this is the Modern Happiness.
Were we?
Have you guys heard of this thing? So have you seen, I rewatched this. This like makes me so happy. There's a Coke did a commercial, and I think there's been other kind of spin-offs, but they got this actor guy. He's really good at laughing. I think it's in London.
Actor guy.
Sorry,
just I couldn't help myself.
Well, there's no waitresses. You're just a waiter. We're taking out the he, she's, and whatever.
Oh, I see.
So just actor.
Inclusive.
So I was just being, and I was being accurate with my language that it was a male actor.
Are you sure? Or they're not changing that?
I don't fucking care, honestly. Let's just keep going with my story.
You brought it up, so.
Yeah, but you corrected me. And anyway, so this guy's on.
Actor guy.
There's this actor guy. And he's on the train, and he's holding his phone. He's watching a video, presumably. And he starts laughing. He's like, ha, 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 ha. And he starts laughing more and more. And his laugh is so contagious that everyone on the subway just starts laughing. And it's like, it warms my heart so much. And then recently, I've seen this kind of TikTok trend where you can just start fake laughing until you're really laughing.
It's true. I mean, have you ever heard that if you're having a really bad day, if you force a smile, it'll trick your brain into thinking you're happy?
Yeah.
I do that,
guys,
all the time.
By the way, we had some dope logo design talks earlier today. Yeah, I fully believe that.
Mm-hmm. Taylor's topping me off with this peanut butter whiskey.
It's surprisingly good. It's my first time having it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's not like Fireball I hate.
Yeah,
I mean, we all went through that phase. Judging based off.
Do you know anyone that hates peanut butter?
Well, my roommate's allergic to peanuts.
Well, that's different. That's like
different, yeah. But he'll like eat it because he's like, it's so good.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
I know one person.
Who?
I won't name them.
Oh, okay. Off air, and then we'll go haze them.
We'll talk later.
Cool. I'm gonna throw jars of peanut butter at their house.
Wow.
Until they like it.
Okay.
Wait, but what I was going to say was that you want to just start fake laughing until we all start laughing hysterically.
Ready?
I'll start. I think it's working. It happened really fast. I'm mostly laughing because it was silly.
Because I'm thinking, why are you the way that you
because
are?
Sarah won't participate. Oh, wonderful. Well, I feel fantastic now.
Perfect.
I can't stop smiling.
I know, me neither.
Can you hear it?
I think that's the peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. It's this cute doggo over here.
So speaking of happiness, today we are going to talk about comparison.
Sick segue.
That's what I do.
That was a sick segue.
That is what I do. Deuce is dying over here. I can't even.
Nailed it.
I can't even right now. Comparison. So I've got a lot of thoughts.
As he goes silent.
Yeah. Matt, okay, here's the thing. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say comparison?
I think there's such a negative connotation around comparison.
For you or for other people?
I think in general. Like, we'll talk about this. It's taken a lot of work, but I don't really compare myself too much anymore. But when I do, I think we have the same philosophy on this. When I do, it's for a purpose. But I think in general, comparison for most people is like, they think, yeah, this person's doing this. How come I'm not? And that leads to, I feel like that leads to inaction and doubt.
Well, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast. You and I talk about it a lot. You talk about it with your clients. I talk about it with my clients. But I really believe it leads to imposter syndrome. Because when you comparison, all of a sudden you start comparing, and then you're like looking at someone else, and then you're like, well, who am I to do that? And then you're just like, well, yeah, I stop. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah, it leads to inaction. Yeah, and it's tough. And I think that's the conversation where it's like, Instagram's a highlight reel. And we've had this conversation on the podcast, but to repeat, like, I think Instagram should be a highlight reel, especially when you're using it for your business. You are here marketing to show people that there's a better way. It doesn't matter if you're selling Stance socks, by the way. If anybody wants to donate Taylor some socks, he's got a few holes in his right foot over here.
If Stance wants to sponsor me or the podcast.
Listen, I know Kathy's listening. Kathy, your boy needs some fresh Stance socks.
Almost guaranteed I'm going to get some socks.
Yeah, I'll take a pair too, you know. So we'll do this. Anyway, but it doesn't matter if you're selling socks, whatever you're doing. If you're promoting your business on Instagram, yes, I think you should be a highlight reel. But then what that leads to is other people seeing that and going, wow, for example, look how great Matt's life is. And he's just on here and he's crushing content. I've had people who literally say, like, looks like you're killing it over there. And I'm like, yeah, it certainly does look like that. Because that's the perception I do want to put out, because I want people to see that.
Are you killing it?
Fuck yeah, I am. I'm living the dream over here. However, what do they qualify as me killing it?
Yeah, what do you qualify? That's what I want to know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great question. Killing it to me is doing something that I love. Been really thinking about this a lot, like the last month or so. How much I would just like hate to work for someone else's dream. And we talk about that in our Finding Purpose podcast, but that's okay if that's what you want to do, right? And we had Billy Hahn talking about working 9 to 5, but like for me, I would rather be making the $20,000 a year, but like doing something I love. And I did that as a personal trainer, moving here to Colorado. And that was making me so happy. The money didn't matter, but I think what I've been reflecting on is it's not just the money. It's just the working for myself, pursuing my dream. And my dream has shifted a bunch. But anyway, to kind of answer your question, yeah, well, no, I guess I am answering your question. I'm living the dream because I'm pursuing my passion. And my passion's evolved, and it's gone from personal training to, well, a lot of stuff, right? But personal training to photography to business coaching. And
what else have you done?
I rode my bike cross country.
Guys, we are going to start, if you've ever watched New Girl, we're going to start a jar. Every time Matt talks about his bike trip, he has to donate money to the jar.
I'll gladly do that.
Boom. $1. $1 right there.
$1. Cool. I only have a $2 bill. I have two $2 bills.
Well,
who carries cash? I'll start doing one
We're only
Satoshi.
like 7 minutes in the podcast, so guaranteed you'll bring it up again.
You know what a Satoshi is?
No idea.
So one Bitcoin is like 1.000 Bitcoin. But a Satoshi, you can buy Bitcoins as little as like 0.000001 Bitcoin. So that 0.00001, however many it is a Satoshi, which people think is that's the person who invented it. So anyway, I don't carry cash, but if you want me to start donating.
By the way, if you guys want to learn whether you should invest in Bitcoin, go check out our podcast with John Freemeyer.
Yeah, that's right. Episode 18. I got the thumbs up from Deuce. Nailed it.
Okay, so going back to the question that I asked you, you said people message you on Instagram. They're like, dude, it looks like you're killing it. And you're like, cool. Yeah, that's what I want you to think. And then I asked, are you killing it? And you said, yeah. And you just defined that. For you, that's what's killing it. But what do you think they perceive?
Yeah, probably that, clients are flooding my inbox and I have no problem with my launches, and that I just, I'm about to launch again soon. So I'm going to put out, hey, I'm looking for 12 personal trainers who want to make a buttload of money. I'll say it a bit differently than that. Well, maybe I'll try that.
How much is a buttload?
Yeah, well.
Is that individualized?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whose butt are we talking about? Anyway, I had a lot to say, but I'm just going to move on. Oh, God, we're losing Taylor.
We lost him.
I think he making himself laugh over here. Buttload, yeah. Oh, God. We're off the rails. A buttload of money is, I don't know. It's Deuce.
Okay.
Deuce, can you define, go Google buttload of money.
So what I'm getting at is they said you're killing it. You said, yeah, I'm killing it. However, your definition is likely different than theirs.
Yeah, I'm loving showing up on Instagram. I'm loving inspiring people. I love the work that I do. I love living in Colorado and going on hikes and all this stuff and snowboarding once a week and all that stuff. To me, that's killing it. And again, what I think they're thinking is, yeah, when I launch, like I probably have my inbox is flooded and it's no problem for me to make money off, my program and all this stuff. Where in fact, that may not always be the reality. Where, they don't see we talk about this a lot. They don't see I snowboard and I can do all the fun stuff and I'm building a business I love. But it's also like I work 14-hour days sometimes, a lot of times, because I have audacious goals. And
yeah, I think
at the same time, I love doing it.
It's actually really cool. I've been a part of your program, the PTBA, and do some mindset mastermind calls. And there's a client of yours who we won't name, but at one point talked about like the lifestyle that we live. And that's part of the reason that person signed up. And like, how do I do that? They see that on Instagram, you and I go during the winter, every Thursday when snowboarding. It's on Instagram, you see it, and I want that lifestyle and have clients. And we were very honest with that client, like, hey, that is what we're doing because we prioritize it. And sometimes it takes sales calls on the mountain.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's like we're rushing back because one of us has a call at 4 p.m.
Or I'm working Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that's another big one, right?
Some of my other friends have the weekend off, but
yeah,
I chose to go on the mountain on Thursday.
Right. We go to the mountain for half a day, and then we're working 7 days a week.
Dude,
it's the choice that we make.
Yeah, and if we talk about the kind of entrepreneur life, it's like, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. But it's this. Oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. Damn it! It was a good one though.
Entrepreneur life.
I'm
sure.
I know what it was, but it's people who work 9 to 5. Maybe I know it differs for everyone, but like you don't really have to take work home. 5 o'clock ends, you get in your car, you drive home, and then you get to whatever, go work out, eat dinner, hang out with your girlfriend, or whatever that looks like. But for me, it's like I'm always thinking about it, and I'm always like, oh, I could always do something else. I could always add something to schedule, and I do a lot of the times.
Yeah, this is that's a great example. So I've worked one corporate 9 to 5 job, and when you talk about that example, it's so funny. I was like, I don't know, maybe mid-tier. I worked for a mechanical company. We did commercial AC, plumbing, and electric. We lived in Florida. Air conditioning is huge. Really successful company. We did a lot of like hospitals and schools, and I don't know, maybe 40 employees, but of those 40 employees, like 25, 30 of them are like service techs out in the field. So a very small office staff. So like I worked in the office, and, you know, it's funny, you would see some of the, like maybe other employees, and they, you know, the boss is gone for the day, or like the guy who founded the company, or like he doesn't understand and all this stuff. And they're like this comparison and whatever. And like, they're all upset, and like, this shouldn't happen this way and that shouldn't happen that way. And they're like, he can just come and go as he wants. And it's like, yeah, well, when you go home, you can lay your head on your pillow at night and you don't have to worry about it. As soon as you clock out, you can go do whatever. But, you know, he has to worry about providing for you, keeping the lights on, like, you know, and so it's like,
we got to pick a new healthcare program, or, oh my God, numbers are down this month. Like, holy crap. Like, I'm about to fire someone. How do we get these numbers up?
Yeah, fire someone. Hiring people is like a whole ordeal. And it's like, so the funny thing about, the reason I bring this up is comparison, right? You think a lot of times about, if you're like a lower level employee, let's say, of a company, you think about the boss and you're like, oh man, like they haven't made all this stuff. Well, first of all, they did all the things to get there, and they went through that work. And then second of all, you probably don't want their responsibility. I mean, I remember, Matt, you and I have both coached CrossFit, and I've been a coach where I'm just a coach and I show up to my class and then I'm like, peace out. And there's drama, or there's like, you know, we're losing members. I don't have to worry about it. And the owner is stressing out and like all this stuff. And like people think, oh, I want to own a CrossFit gym. Like, oh, that would be cool. And it's like, do you? You know, because you compare, but you don't realize like the responsibility that comes with that.
I can own a gym. I can work, you know, I can work out whenever I want. It's like, no, you're not doing it. You're running a business.
Most gym owners don't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So you tell me a little bit about, you know, how you see comparison. And when you hear that word, what do you think?
Yeah, it's changed a lot, I would say. Actually, as we were talking, one of the first things that came to mind, so big part of my story, 2018, I had coached CrossFit for 5 years. Decided to get out of that. I wanted to coach full time. I was barely scraping by, not making money, burned out. Got a job at Colorado State University, Clemson University, tried the college strength and conditioning thing. Still burned out, working even more hours, getting paid even less. Took this desk job in Orlando and realized I don't want to work a desk job from like day one, week one. And I was like, I hit what felt like rock bottom. Like I didn't believe you could do what you wanted and make good money. So I decided I might as well try this online coaching thing. At the time, 2018, it was kind of coming on the scene, but not really big. And anyways, fast forward, I ended up investing in this coaching program, this business program. And a big part of it was mindset and language. And that's stuff that I talk about now. And I talked about on a previous episode, and how like soft talk, right? I think I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to try and start my own business. And the reason I said those things, so for me at the time, I looked at, if you're in the CrossFit space, you know, places like Training Think Tank, CrossFit Invictus, Misfit Athletics, OPEX, like these were the leaders in like remote program design, like online coaching. And I looked at them and I was like, this is what I want to do. Like without a shadow of a doubt, like if I now ask a lot of my clients, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? If you asked me, that's what it was. It's like, I want to work with these high level CrossFit athletes, like just coach remotely, like do the whole thing. And I didn't believe that I could do it. So I was comparing myself with those people, and those people have games athletes. So for those of you who maybe don't understand CrossFit, this would be like, looking at Bill Belichick and the Patriots and Tom Brady, and like, you're like, oh, I want to be a football coach. And you're like, well, who am I to do that? And so that's kind of one of the first reminders where like that actually, which is funny, that's 2018. So 2016 was technically when I started my own business, my LLC, for fitness remote coaching. And really that limiting belief just like paralyzed me, because I was like, who am I? They have like the best in the world. It was the imposter syndrome. How do I get from I'm at point A, how do I get to, they're at point Z? How do I bridge that gap? And, you know, fortunately this program that I was in and people that I was around and resources that I was reading helped me overcome that. And all of a sudden, like a light switch, as soon as I believed that I could do what I wanted, clients just like came to me. It was wild. And I would say that's like one of the first kind of memories of, and I would say even growing up, it was like comparing myself to other people, and like in a negative way of like, if I'm not as good as them, then I'm not worthy, or, what's wrong with me if I can't do what other people can do. Maybe it's like, I remember I was like a 4.0 student in high school, and I graduated college with honors, sum laude or something, whatever that means. But I'm not a good test taker, and like my ACT scores were not.
Come loudly. Summa cum loudly, I believe.
Nice.
Deuce confirms. She Googled it. Now she's on Pornhub. She's getting distracted.
I remember I was not a good test taker. So I'd look at my ACT scores or SAT scores relative to like, and I'm like, oh man. And I just felt like shit. And so it's come a long way. But now, we were talking about this earlier, when I look at comparison, I compare myself all the time, every day. Like, that's partly why I do CrossFit. Like, if you're not familiar with the CrossFit methodology, it's like all workouts are for time. They're measurable, right? So it could be like, you're going to do 3 rounds of a 400-meter run and, 15 burpees, 4 time. And if I get 7 minutes and Matt gets 6 minutes and 55 seconds.
Sounds right.
Should never happen.
Burpees and running? You want to test this? What was
Dude,
that workout?
I'll take you.
400-meter run and how many burpees?
15.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
I can measure myself, right? We did the same workout, the same range of motion, and I can see. And the cool thing is, every single day I'm at the gym, I can track, and like I can see people that I'm kind of close with, and I'm like, oh, I'm a minute apart or I'm 30 seconds apart. And it's honestly, I believe everything in life, and this is what I teach and what I do with my clients, is it's all about mindset. It's about the lens that you choose to look at through. And the lens that I choose to look at comparison is like, how can I get better? And when I look at, I talked about the fitness coaching, and I used to look at like these other people who were like rock stars in the field, and I'm like, oh man, and it would paralyze me. And now, like as a life coach, a leadership coach, a mindset coach, I actually had a call last week with a guy who is, 10, 15 years ahead of me. And all of a sudden, he started talking about stuff, and I'm like, oh man, cool. I never thought about that. I could do that. And it's honestly inspiring is the only word that comes to mind. So I think that really,
rather than beating yourself up over that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's what so many people do when it's comparison. It's like, oh, well, this girl looks this way and I don't look this way. Or like, CrossFit, this guy can lift 500 pounds. I can't lift that much.
And this is the big thing that we had Rachel Musale on at Connections with the Rach now, episode 8 potentially. And she always says this, and I always love this, but you can't compare someone's chapter 100 to your chapter 10. And we don't know what chapter people are on. We don't know what this person who lifts more than you, who's been lifting since he was 12 years old and had maybe this strength coach and deadlifted, 3 days a week for the last 10 years, right? You don't know that. And ultimately, like you said about CrossFit, it's cool to compare yourself to other people or kind of have that gauge of like, oh, I can get better. This is an awesome opportunity for me to like, this person's doing this. It's possible for me. At the same time, you can only really compare yourself to yesterday. And are you making the improvements that you want to see? Otherwise, like, yeah, then really that's all that matters. Because if you're not doing the things based on where you're at to improve, then yeah, comparison is probably going to eat you up alive because you're going to go, this person's doing this and I'm not doing it. But if you're like, well, I've only been doing this for a year and look where I was last year. Last year I wasn't even doing this. But now this year I have this many clients, or this year I'm lifting this much weight, or this year, whatever that looks like. And that's when you can see, whoa, there's actually growth here. And, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Sure, some people, my mentor, I'm 31 years old. My mentor, my last program, Rachel Bell's 25. She had $1 million launch. She launches her program, makes over $1 million. So I could be like, I'm 31. The fuck is wrong with me? Like, I'm just figuring out life now. She's so fucking woke, and she's got an incredible, you know what I mean? She's got this crazy program. She's got teams. She's got assistant coaches, all these things. And it's like, so what? Like, I didn't even start this till last year. And like, I was being an engineer and like, I rode my bike cross country. Dude, did you know that?
Perfect. We got that $2 bill going in the jar. Let us know what charity we should donate this jar, because we're about to make a lot of money.
Bikes Across America. Is that a thing? That's not a thing.
Should be.
I'll take you across America. But yeah, again, I think it's going back to compare yourself to yourself. Am I improving? Am I doing the things to get myself to where I want to go to? When you're looking at other people, like you said, use it as inspiration. Wow, this person's 40 years old. Look what they've done. I won't be 40 for another 9 years. Imagine what I could do in 9 more years.
Yeah, because it's like, man, so many things come to mind. Well, you talked about growth, and it really what comes to mind is the growth mindset, which is essentially when you adopt the growth mindset, you look at everything as an opportunity to grow. And the fixed mindset would be the polar opposite, where it's like you believe you're born a certain way, right? You're either athletic or you're not. You're smart or you're not. And the cool thing about the growth mindset is like you can always improve, right? It doesn't mean that you can play in the NBA. It doesn't mean that you can be Michael Jordan. But like if you're 12 years old, you can get better at basketball. If you want to make that basketball team, like you can work harder. You can make your middle school, your high school basketball team. And so like whatever that is for you, and I think so many people get caught up in comparison and they never actually look at like, do I really want that thing? Do I really want that life? Because you look at these people or the example we alluded to earlier of you and what you're like, people maybe message you and say, oh, you're killing it. And they think one thing and you're like, yeah, I am killing it. And then if they find out the details, they're like, maybe they don't even want that life. Maybe it's not for them. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. But it's like people just get so caught up in comparison that they never actually ask the question of like, what do I want? Why am I comparing? But like really, my belief is you just need to deconstruct. If you have a negative relationship with comparison, deconstruct that. And it's really just a check-in point. And it's like shift the lens that you're looking at comparison through, because when you start looking at it as an opportunity, like, oh, this person is doing that is possible. I know like the program that I mentioned earlier that I went to, it was a business program for fitness coaches. And there's people posting all the time in this Slack channel, like, oh, just had a sale, made this much money, like growing. And I'm like, at the time, this was early on my journey, I was like, sick. They're doing it. Like this stuff works. It was inspiring. And then also I was like, man, I feel so behind. And then fast forward now, some of those people went through another program that I went through, another coaching program. And I got to know them a little better. And then I find out a little more about their lives. And then I listen to podcasts. And this whole time I had this picture of like, these people are 10 years ahead of me and they're doing this thing and they have this gym and all this stuff. And then, I listen to some calls and I'm like, what? They're struggling with that? Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Like I handled that business 5 years ago. Like how are they even, and so you never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Dude, I love that. This is a perfect, like, to your exact story. Oh, I handled that 5 years ago. Why'd you do that? Because you were doing the things.
Yeah.
And I know you told me this story before, and these people who are now in this like level 3 things, and they're on all these calls, and they're like in the Slack, and they're having conversations, and you're like, oh my God, am I behind? But then come to realize like, oh, these people are still kind of in the same place. They're just taking more education, but they're not implementing anything. And they're not like really doing the thing.
Yeah. So a little more context. I went through a program. I got the level 1 certification, and I was like, I want to implement. I want to coach people. I want to do the things. And then they announced there's a level 2 certification, and they announced there's a level 3, and you got to take level 2 before you can take level 3. And there's a big community group, and I'm able to hear some like recorded calls for the level 3, thinking like, man, they must be crushing it at this point. And that's where, I told you this story. And then I was like, oh, they just actually haven't been coaching for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
They've been only taking education.
Yeah. So to that exact point where now you're like, oh, wow, I'm actually way better off than these people. But I just kind of want to marry that with do the thing. If you're in such comparison that you're like, oh my God, this person's at this point, how do you think they got there? They have a $100,000 business coaching, whatever, or they lift this much weight. Well, guess what? They started probably where you did with 0 clients or lifting 10 pounds off the ground. So start lifting 10 pounds. Get your first client, because then you're going to get 2. That's the only way you're going to make any progress. And it's almost like, how about this? Get in alignment with what you want, put the blinders on, and do the things. Do the things that people are doing. You find someone that you're like, maybe you see someone and you compare yourself and you're like, damn it, I wish I was that person. Like you said, is that something you actually want? And if it is, why don't you reach out to that person and be like, how'd you get started? What's the first step? What's the first 3 steps? If maybe they'll share. And honestly, if you're reaching out to someone really high level, give them some value. Otherwise, they get too many DMs, like be someone of offer or go to someone a bit lower than them. But whatever they tell you, do the fucking thing. And this is what we talk about, like hire a coach. You want to get to where you've never been before? Hire someone who's done it and do what they say to do. And then you can get to that point, and then you'll be wherever you wanted to be, or a little bit closer. And guess what? You'll probably compare yourself to someone else. But again, if you look back on the year ago, like now we're making progress. I'm getting fired up.
And here is, you're talking dirty to me at this point. You said alignment. You said figure out. No, I'm not going to kiss you.
Dude, I just leaned in for the kiss.
Man,
you said I'm talking dirty. Like, you can't lead me on like that.
Dude, I'm going to need 17 more bottles.
You hear that, Screwball? 17 purchases right there.
Matt's going to show up on the next podcast with the 17 Screwball.
Yeah, and they'll be twice the size of that one.
Yeah. Wow. I just lost my train of thought.
I'm talking dirty to you by going out and doing the things. I know we're almost, skating around here, but it's I got a hard truth for some of you. If comparison has a negative connotation, you really need to do some soul searching. Like, why is there a negative connotation? Why are you upset about it? Why does it bother you? Probably because you're not doing the things, right? You're not putting yourself out there. And a favorite quote that I have is, in order to get where you've never gone, you have to be willing to do what you've never done. So those people you're comparing yourself to, even if it's on Instagram, these models or like these people that have hundreds of thousands of followers are like, okay, what are they doing? Right? Sure. There's chance and there's luck, but not really. Right. There's, I think it's Seneca. It's a Stoic philosopher quote that says, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, right? So if we talk about luck, that's the opportunity. What most people think about luck is the opportunity side of that, but you got to be ready, because if somebody calls tomorrow for your dream job, are you actually ready for it? And if you can't answer that with a fuck yeah, then what are you doing right now? Like, why are you wasting time on comparison? And it's so perfect with like even my, or like I talk to personal trainers all the time. Oh, I can help everyone. Well, no, you fucking can't. Here's 1,000 clients. You couldn't help them anyway. So it's the same thing. Oh my God, this person has this business and they make $200,000. Could you run a $200,000 a year business? A $500,000 a year business? Highly unlikely.
Yeah. And do you even want to work that hard?
Yeah.
Like, not to say that hard work is a bad thing or like that you want to be a lazy person, but we won't dive into this. Matt and I have talked about, but it's like a lot about lately where it's like, yeah, I do want to grow my business and I want to help more people, but like at what cost? I don't want the next 7 years of my life to pass by and I didn't actually like do anything fun. I didn't go on adventures. I didn't experience life. I didn't meet new people.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally what we're talking about right now, guys. Both Taylor and I, it's like we've been working really hard, and I think this is part of summer coming around. It's like winter, you kind of hole up and, we work hard, and it's kind of the cycle of the seasons of your life and also the seasons of Earth. But then summer comes around. It's like, oh my God, like everything's opening up and COVID's kind of going away. Here in Denver, Colorado, masks are kind of, you don't have to wear them inside everywhere. And just with summer coming around, and it's all of a sudden, it's like, man, I've been working so hard. Like we've lost our Thursday snowboarding days, all these things. And we have these audacious goals to make X amount of money. But is that worth working so hard that we don't get to hang out with friends or don't get to do, now mountain biking days because it's summer, go golfing? Like, is that worth it? And, I think you just have to answer that for yourself, because for me, I think we both realize like, no, it's not. There's a great book called Company of One where he talks about, cool, yeah, you can grow to $1 million business, but you know what that comes with? That comes with 20 employees and an HR department and an accounting department, like all this stuff. So now you're not even doing what you love. Now you have to manage a company.
You're a CEO. You're no longer doing what you were passionate about.
Actually, wouldn't you just be fine with $150,000 and doing that year over year. And then maybe you just have a virtual assistant and it's just you and that one person and you're doing what you love and you don't need to scale so much. You don't have to work so damn hard to grow and keep finding new customers. You can have this steady business or whatever that looks like.
Yeah. So I think really like, kind of some of my final thoughts around comparison. If I really think about why there's a negative connotation, I think it comes down to expectations. And, you said it when you talked about alignment. It's like, figure out what do you want and why do you want it? And not what do you think you're supposed to want? What do your parents tell you? What do your friends tell you? What is like, we talk a lot about, we live in Denver, but if you grew up on the East Coast, it's like you get that corporate job. It's 60 hours a week, 8 hours a week. It's like you live to work, and it's step away from that. And it's like, what do you really want? Why do you really want it? And then if you're getting upset, like when you do comparison, even if it's just like you go to the gym and you see the guy or the girl that's, man, they're always beating me in the workout. Why does that upset you? Well, probably because they're putting in the work. And are you willing to put in the work? Like your expectations are in a false place. If you're just doing, one workout a day and the person that is your rival is doing 2 workouts a day, like what do you expect? Or if their nutrition is locked down or they're sleeping or like they're not drinking alcohol, like you can apply that principle to any aspect of life. So like, I really think if you're comparing yourself and then you get down or you have a negative connotation, it's like, look inward. What's going on with you and why are you upset about it? And it's likely because you're not doing the things or you have limiting beliefs, which we all do. I consider myself a mindset coach and I still have those. So like that is normal. And I'm here to tell you that like we can get out of that.
You consider yourself a mind coach or you are a mindset coach?
Consider myself a lot of things. I don't know what you'd call it. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I'm a mindset coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a leadership coach. I'm a fitness coach.
Yeah. Hell yeah, you are. World class at all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. This takes us back to episode 1. Do what makes you happy. And I truly believe if you're doing that, you're not going to compare as much. And I mean, I don't know. It's a tough thing, but I've really realized that like through finding my passion and
by riding your bike across the country.
That's where it all began, baby. You owe me $1 now. I got back to $1.
Is that how that works? I don't think that
negates it.
Deuce?
I don't know. We'll think about it.
Well, if you tease me,
but can I say something about comparison?
I would love to hear.
I was gonna, yeah.
So, to me, comparison is like the lazy way out. You know what I mean? Like, you know how people fall back into negativity because it's the easy thing? It's so easy to compare your life to somebody else's and be down about it. So, like, if you know that, you just have to know that and stop comparing yourself because it's just going to...
Awareness is perfect. We talked about that with Colby Knepp a few episodes ago. And, yeah, it's absolutely right. Being aware of that and like kind of you're saying the opposite. Taylor's like, oh, this person's here. That's possible for me. And you're saying that person's there. Like, I could never do that. So I'm just not even going to try. And, yeah, that's kind of the easy way out.
It's the easy, yeah. And it's boring.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, and let's be honest. Episode 1, happiness is a choice. We believe happiness is a choice. We say that all the time. Fuck toxic positivity. I'm going to say that right now. I don't think that's a real thing. And it's hard. Mm-hmm. Choosing happiness is hard every single day. You got to show up. You got to wake up. You got to do the hard things. You got to, face adversity. But it's so worth it.
It's so worth it.
It's so fucking worth it. This is just having this conversation with a friend where, like, she's a great runner. We went biking. Didn't perform so well on biking. And I'm like, we still had a great time biking. And easy at the smiles, guys. And I'm like, what a great opportunity. She was like, hell yeah. Like, great opportunity to get better at biking. And I'm like, exactly. And, like, if you can have that attitude about all things, then what does get you that? Yeah, life is hard. Life gets sad. We talk about this all the time. Like, that's why Taylor says fuck toxic positivity, because I think where people get like toxic positivity is like no bad vibes. Like, you can't feel sad. Yes, of course you can feel sad. But then what? Then what are we doing? You can compare yourself and feel shitty about it, but then what? You're going to keep going down that downward spiral, or are you going to go in the upward spiral, stand the fuck up and go, I'm a fucking badass and I fucking got this and I'm about to crush today. You know what? I'm going to do that one hard thing that I was putting off, and I'm going to do that right now. And that's going back to what I said before. That action, taking that action. Period.
I love it.
Yeah, if you, man, the last thing I have to say that comes to mind is really for anything, but if you think about comparison, if you are stuck in comparison and it's holding you back, or really anything in your life, you think about if you keep living your life the way that you are, what will your life look like in 20 years? And if you're not pumped up and excited about that, you need to make a change. And we're calling you out 100%.
Preach, baby.
And we're doing it with love. And if you need help with that, reach out to me, reach out to Deuce, reach out to Matt. Like, that's what we're here for. We want to be those people for you. So we're going to spit the hard truth, but we're also going to support you and help you get on that way. Because if we can do it, you can do it.
That's right. Yes, sir. I love it, Taylor. That was beautiful. That is a beautiful.
Can I get an amen?
Amen. That's where we're going to call it, because that was fantastic. I think we've said enough on this. And yeah, just do it. Just do it. Find your alignment and do the things. Do what makes you happy. And that's it, guys.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Shamalama ding dong. Zippity zoppity. Gimme the boppity.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Until next time, we are out of here. Peace.